Al? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, can you guys hear me, Al? Let me know if you're able to hear Meowsical. Meowsical, welcome in. Happy Friday. How are you doing, friendo?
Thank you so much for having me, d-Rad. I'm doing great and happy Friday.
But I'm gonna ask you something, Meowsical. This is my first question. What
Sure.
what are the origins of your name, Meowsical VGM?
The origin of my name is that I was trying to think of I guess a stage name for me as a violinist, and really like cats, so I thought meow, and then I'm musical, so I put the two together, and that's how I came up with Meowsical. But when I went on Twitch, I wanted to use the name Meowsical, but it was actually taken by somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why I had to add the VGM at the end of it.
Oh.
Um, so that's why I'm called Meowsical VGM.
Awesome, awesome. I like that. You started a orchestra, right?
Yeah.
I've heard in the rumors here in the Twitch universe that you did start a orchestra. Could you tell us about it?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in this was when I was in college. I started like the first collegiate level video game orchestra. It was run as a student club. And the reason I started it was because it was like 2004, and this was when YouTube was all new, and I saw a concert of video games live
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube, and I was like, "Hey, that's such a cool idea." And then I thought, "Hey, wait a minute, I want to play the music that I grew up with and I love."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought that was the most amazing thing ever because I started playing violin when I was 9, and then
Ooh.
I went to so all throughout school, like middle school, high school, I was involved in orchestras. So when I got to college, I joined the college orchestra,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw video games live, and I was like, wait, I want to play that music. I want to be on stage playing that music. And I wasn't satisfied, like just sitting in the audience watching that. I was like, I have to be on stage. I have to do that. So what I did was, I I emailed my conductor of my college orchestra at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I said something like, "Hey, this is I think I showed him like the video clip or something, and I said this would be so cool to do." And he made the suggestion, "Why don't you make an announcement at the next rehearsal?" So I did, and I remember I was so nervous because this time in my life I was incredibly shy and very,
Mm-hmm.
um, I guess, not confident in myself. So I was like terrified to like an orchestra is anywhere from, I don't know, 40 to 70 people. So
Oh
for
wow.
me to stand up in front of everybody, it was like kind of terrifying for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I wrote down what I was going to say on a piece of paper, and I remember like the day of the announcement. We always have like a 10-minute break in the middle of the rehearsal to
Mm-hmm.
like take a break. And during that break, my conductor said that I had something to announce, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm so scared." And then
Ooh.
I like unfolded my paper and I stood up, and when I speak, I don't really have a loud voice. Like I have quite a soft voice, so I was
Yep.
afraid people would be like, "Wait, what? What did you say?" And
Mm-hmm.
I get self-conscious when I have to repeat it again. So
Yeah.
I was trying to like yell as loud as I could, like like, "Hey guys, I'm interested in playing video game music, like orchestra video game music. Who else is interested? Come up to me during the break to talk." I don't remember the exact words, but something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so nerve-wracking to make that announcement because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
And I remember this one guy came up to me, and I said, "Oh, cool, you're interested in what game music would you like to play?" And he said, "Oh, Final Fantasy." And I was like, "Okay, okay, definitely." that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really know what to do because it was like, well, I didn't know in the first place whether anybody would be interested in the idea because it had never been done before in that kind of setting.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, video game music was still seen as like, oh, that's not real music, and it was
Yeah.
I, I still feel like it was frowned upon, especially in an orchestral setting, because you know, like orchestra has a strong tradition of playing the classical repertoire, so
Right.
anything like pop wasn't necessarily taken seriously. So I just didn't know if anybody would even be interested. You know, it's one of those things where you take a risk and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna put the idea out there and see if anyone takes a bite and shows interest. So
Mm-hmm.
I actually didn't really expect it to go anywhere. Um, like maybe a few people would be interested. Maybe we could, I don't know, do some small ensemble stuff, but nothing big.
Yep.
But I remember like the next time, I think it was 2 rehearsals later or something, I finally met with 10 people from my orchestra who were interested, and I asked them,
Mm.
what music do you want to play? That was like our first like meeting as a group.
Mm-hmm.
SPG says if I was in that room, I would shout yes immediately.
I know, me too. If I could play, I'll like, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, it was crazy because like you don't know what's gonna be the reaction of other people, like, and
Uh-huh.
then so that first meeting we were just like talking about what game should we play from, you know, the
Yeah.
music from, and you know, at that point, people were actually still suggesting like movie music. Like I think some
Mm.
people wanted to do like film music or movie music slash video game stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but eventually, I was like, okay, let's just focus on video game music because that's what I feel like, I guess we should do or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey,
Lude. Hey.
Lude. So the second time we met, we went into one of the classrooms in the school of music, and
Mm-hmm.
we listened to like the piece called Enclosure from I think Metal Gear Solid on a CD, and this is when we were still using CDs.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh,
god.
why is that
Well,
ancient now? CDs were not too long ago. now
I know,
now they're
but
considered ancient now.
that's like when Facebook just started, and
Yeah,
like
oh my gosh.
I still had my flip phone and stuff
Ah,
like that.
yes. Oh my
And
gosh.
I actually wasn't on, I didn't want to join Facebook, but I was forced to join it so I could recruit people to my orchestra.
Were you still on MySpace?
No, I didn't use MySpace.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, it's like so long ago. But that was like the right time to start a video game orchestra. Like that's when it was like when it was start I think they started doing symphonic video game orchestras on the professional level starting in 2003 in Europe. I think that's when it first started because before that,
Oh, okay.
Japan had been doing it for a while since 1980. I think 1986 or 1989. They've been
Okay.
doing a lot of stuff. It all started with Dragon Quest, actually.
Dragon
The
Quest?
Dragon Quest Overture, yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Japan had been doing it for a while, but then they brought it to the West, and I think it was 2003 where they started doing these professional touring orchestras. So I started my group in 2005, which is pretty soon after.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when they started doing it in Europe, it was kind of like they didn't know, they thought that it wasn't gonna work. You know, like who's gonna want to come listen to video game music? But it was so they were so wrong about that. You know, it was very popular.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why and then after like Video Games Live, everything came, and then so I kind of started my orchestra. Um, so in the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing, just winging it pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I had to figure things out as I went along. Like in the beginning, I couldn't get anyone to help me. I'm like, are there any volunteers? Because in the orchestra, you need a team of people to run it.
Yeah.
but like in the beginning, nobody was willing to volunteer, so I was like, I had to do everything myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I also didn't know what I was really doing. But thankfully, my years of orchestra playing gave me an idea of how things usually run,
Yeah.
like how rehearsals run, how concerts run, things like that. Um, but I got a lot of my orchestra management experience running my group. Um, and and over time, we recruited on campus. We went to recruit from other ensembles on campus,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just trying to think of. I think the most significant, the first turning point for us was probably in. I mean, we had a lot of challenges. Um, the first turning point for us was probably in 2008 when we finally were able to perform in the School of Music's official concert hall. And then, do you know OC Remix?
I do not.
Okay, so they're like a video game music remix website. It's ocremix.org.
Okay.
And the founder of that site, DJ Pretzel, and a couple of his friends came to see our concert. To us, that was very big because they were pretty big in the video game remix community at that time. So for them to come out to the concert to see us live was a big deal.
Wow.
And I talked to the founder, and I was like, "Wow, this is really cool! Like, this is so famous, famous." Like, I'm talking to the founder of OC Remix, and he's like chatting to me casually as
Oh
we're
my
walking.
gosh. That is
And we're,
awesome.
and I didn't know what to think of it, and that was also the first concert where we had, we actually had to turn away people from the audience because otherwise we would violate fire code.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was really big turning point for us because before that, like we didn't have the best. So at my school where this took place,
Mm-hmm.
what happened was in the beginning, it was like between maybe 5, 10 people that were coming every week for rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then what happened was we were rehearsing in the School of Music's orchestra room like an hour after my regular orchestra rehearsal,
Mm-hmm.
and we rehearsed for like an hour because we didn't really have the sheet music at that time. There just wasn't it just wasn't available. You couldn't buy it like orchestra video game sheet music, and
Mm-hmm.
it's still difficult to get now. Um, so what happened was we actually got kicked out of our rehearsal space
Oh, why?
because because okay, so the reason we got kicked out was because we did not know we had to book that space officially because we were just like
Mm.
hanging out there after um a regular orchestra rehearsal. So like it wasn't being used, so we didn't know. And what happened was we apparently were so organized that there was another group that had actually booked the space at the same time that we were like rehearsing in there, and they thought the School of Music double booked them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And at the same time, there was someone from the student newspaper had interviewed me about my group. And they said that we were rehearsing in the basement of the School of Music. And I guess the administrators put the two and two together, and they realized that we were like having whatever unauthorized use of their space, but we weren't aware of any policy like that. So they kind
Right.
of called me and my VP to a meeting and basically told us we couldn't rehearse there anymore.
Oh.
You got yeet. This is SPG. Yeah, I tell that story because it's one of that was like the start of our challenges.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's an important part of the story to tell because like I was not like an official music major. I could not like music majors get priority to reserve rooms in school music, and I wasn't, so I didn't
Oh.
have the ability to do that. So it's like, what do you do when you have a challenge like that and when you're kicked out of your own space? How do you continue? And um, I called for an emergency meeting. I'm like with my officers. I was like, we need to find alternative space. And the only other space on campus that was big enough, um, SPG's an expose. It's so funny. Oh my god, yeah. It was like just oh my god, just so like so many things that went on. But the only place on campus we could actually alternatively rehearse in was in a building called the Armory, and it's a much older building, and the only room that was available to a group as big as ours was like an auditorium. And they had like, you know, those chairs with those chair desks that have those little tiny desks that flip up in the auditorium.
Oh yeah, I've seen those before. Yep.
Yeah. So, that was not ideal for our cellists who need elbow room to bow, and for our bassoonists, you know. And so what we had to do is it was a little bit awkward setup because the way the room was divided was there was like this half of the room and this half of the room. And so like when you're in orchestra, usually it's a semicircle. So we were all on the left side, which was it was a little awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to grab chairs from the other room for our cellist and bassoonist, but that's what we had to do to continue our group.
Wow.
Um, so there was like definitely a lot of challenges in the beginning, and you know, it's like, what are we doing?
How
And there's,
long did you have to like? How long did you like book that for to that auditorium you had to stay at?
I think we were in there at least for a couple years.
Oh, wow, a couple years. That's a long time.
Yeah, yeah, and then we at first we had when we actually had concerts, we had like our like open house day, you know, the school's open house day to perform. That's our first time we really performed for the public. Um, but then over time we were able to raise money. We were able to move into concert halls. So it was definitely not an easy beginning. It was, you know, we didn't really have the support of the School of Music.
Mm-hmm.
I've talking to other people who've started their video game orchestras at their school. They've also had run into the same issues where they don't really have those resources to. They've had issues with rehearsal space or concert space that I've run into. So
Mm-hmm.
it seems to be not uncommon. And some of the people I talk to, they they also had like faculty members who are also not supportive of video game music in general.
Yeah.
So like kind of like looking down upon it. But one of the one of the funny things is I think over time we kind of proved ourselves and attracted like the most audience out of all the ensembles on campus. And I remember this really interesting. This was after I graduated. I think there was one semester where they were going to take away our money or the group's money after I had left because
Mm-hmm.
of cut in funding or whatever.
Yeah.
And like everyone on campus was like, no, you can't cut the funding to the Gamer Symphony Orchestra. They're like the most popular group on campus, and if they don't have the concerts, and like there was like a riot or something.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
Was it
it
pretty?
was so funny.
No video game music or riot. Ugh.
Yeah, but it like shows
Yep.
how it is, and actually how important it is. Like
Yeah.
I think after we proved ourselves, then we were taking like more seriously. Like, hey, this is actually something that people really want to do and people really want to see, and
Yeah.
you can. It's actually becoming more popular across the world. Like, if you just if you see VGM or Riot, there's a really good like it's like a 1 hour talk analyzing video game music. I think it's called Video Game Concerts Around the World, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
So,
noticed that too, because when I was young, um, I would just download like a whole bunch of video game music onto a CD. This was like during my when I was a teen, all the way to college, and people would ask me, "What are you listening to?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm listening to video game music, like for example, like Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo." They're like, "That's not real music." I'm like,
mhm.
"What?" I'm like, "It's music to me. That's what I like." And it's just it's just such a weird thing. Like back in the day, nobody you download on Napster. Shh, quiet, quiet.
Yeah.
Don't tell them.
I
Uh,
just told them.
wait, actually, no, I didn't say anything. I did not even say that.
No. Napster. Oh yeah, LimeWire too.
Yeah,
That was
but
the best.
how you're saying that it wasn't appreciated, that is so true. I totally 100% agree, man.
Yeah. Now it's like Revenge of the Nerds or something.
Yeah, it's like come on. It's like anything when video games came out. It was just I don't know if you ever seen like back in the days, like in the like early to mid '90s, they would always have on the news that video games are bad. They don't teach anybody anything. You're just on, you're just like glued in, like 24/7 and whatnot. Like, but video game, especially the music, really got me into the story of the games that I'm playing. It made me super happy, you know. And I'm sure when you were playing video games too, when you were young, you felt the same way, right?
Yeah, I think that's true for a lot of us, like me and people I know who are really into video game music. We're like, oh yeah, when we were young, we are playing the game, and we really noticed the music from it. And there was that nostalgia and how, oh, I remember when I was playing this with my cousin or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why it's like it's still engraved. Like I love video game music, especially when you guys, all of you guys, especially you, Meowsical, when you play covers of your like favorite video game music when you stream on Twitch or YouTube or any of that. It just brings back so much memories, and I love it so much. And I just feel the off of you guys when you're just playing. Then you talk about it at the end. You're like, "Oh, these are my memories about this game." I'm like, wow, me too. I really like it a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah, I think video game music has a lot of meaning in people's lives, and it's like, this is the stuff we grew up with, but also we had our memories of when we were kids and we were having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's a big, there's a lot of interest in it.
Mm-hmm. Man, but that is so cool, Meowsical, what you did. You you created something that nobody didn't really want to talk about, especially with with video game music, and you made it to something. That's something that you left a legacy right here on this planet that people always remember, and that's super cool. And when I don't know, like I think yeah, when I think like SPG mentioned it on his stream that you did that, and he's just like, "Yep, she has a Wikipedia page. Look it up." Like, whoa, this is so cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I always forgot about that.
yeah, and I loved it. Like it was super cool. Like I'm just like, man, that's just amazing to do something like that, and it's still going strong, right? You said.
The group is still going strong. Obviously, I'm no longer a student there, but they're
Mm-hmm.
still going strong. With the exception of this past year where they had to take a break because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the last time I heard they had to do two concerts every season. So two concerts in the fall and two
Mm-hmm.
concerts in the spring because they couldn't fit everyone without violating fire code. And this is an auditorium of 1,100 capacity. So 11,
Wow.
a little more than 1,000 people capacity, and they're like, we gotta expand because there's just too
Yeah.
many people who come.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
so cool. That was awesome. Maybe
yeah,
one day you can do it at like a big dome or something, like where the
yeah.
football stadiums and baseball stadiums are. You never know. People will
Oh,
watch.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Just like
Yeah.
take that field, take that whole thing, and just play orchestra music because it's really beautiful and it's awesome. Like I've been
Yeah.
yeah, because a lot of people, post stuff now just with orchestra and video
Hmm.
game music and, have concerts and whatnot. I've yet to attend one. I want to. Most definitely will. But
Yeah, it's an amazing experience. And people like when you go there, it's not like a typical orchestra concert. People like are there, they're like cheering, like they're at some kind of game or something.
really, at the end, it's
Yeah.
just like, it's like the applause, but everybody's like, woo! Yeah! Like that.
It's more like at the end of every song.
Oh,
They cheer,
wow.
not just
That's.
at the end of the concert. Like it's people are really crazy for it. Um if you haven't gone to a video game orchestra concert, you should definitely do it at least
Mm-hmm.
once in your life.
Yep.
And and if you don't mind, I just want to share something else about my experience
Oh,
with
yeah, of course.
the video game orchestra. So, um, String Player Gamer says someone told Meow you created Sanctuary. So when I started my group, it probably was maybe this second year or third year or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of the people in the group came up to me and said to me, "Look what you've done. You've created a sanctuary." And it was something that people desperately needed in this world, but they didn't know they needed it. And so it was like a place of refuge that people could go to be themselves. Because I think a lot of like nerds, they've gotten um, bullied or they've gotten out. They're cast out of, I guess, certain groups or something. Maybe they're seen as outsiders. So when they found my group, they felt like for the first time they could be part of a community or a group where they could just be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this has been my experience is that it's not just we're not just a orchestra that plays video game music. It goes way deeper than that. There's I've seen people's lives really change by it to the point where makes you want to cry actually.
Wow.
Um like like I have people come up to me and thank me and as if it weren't for you I don't know where I would be.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I've known people who are going through really difficult times in their life when they found my group. Um and I remember this one person, he joined my group. Um he was pre-med and he was very isolated, had a dysfunctional family, was
Mm-hmm.
um he also had to deal with um realizing that he was gay
Yeah.
and he was very isolated from everyone and then um I think at one point he was like even suicidal and then it was a very bad time for him. And then when he found my group, he felt like for the first time he could just be himself and enjoy playing music
Mm-hmm.
with a bunch of other people who love music. And there wasn't a, it's like a place you could go to just be yourself and enjoy this beautiful music. And this is many years later, but he eventually came back and talked to me about it. And today he's a very successful doctor. He made it, he was able to make it through. And he came back to me and said, because of you, you saved my life and I'm where I am now because of you. And I was so shocked and overwhelmed when I heard that. And so there's like stories like this that I've come across in video game music, video game orchestra, my orchestra, but also I know a lot of the other video game orchestra founders who started their own, and actually, some of them actually helped them start their own video game orchestra, and they've reported like really similar experiences, which I think is an indication of something much deeper, much more profound that is missing in our world right now, like
Mm-hmm.
the connection with beauty, with um, meaning with something very deep, and it serves. I feel like this orchestra has served almost as some of kind of a social purpose as well,
Yeah.
where there's no experience coming together like I like to call it performing the music that you love and grew up with 100 of your best friends.
Yeah.
Like it's a different experience when you perform that by yourself. Like for me, when I perform that on the violin by myself, it's a different experience than when I'm with a group of like 100 people playing the same music in symphonic synchrony together to an audience of maybe 1,000 people. It's a different experience.
Wow.
And that has been one of the most transformative and most profound experiences I've had in my life. And I don't think it's just about the music. I think it's also about like the stories from the games that we play. They they tell us what it means to be human and how all of us have struggles and all of us have um but throughout struggles we can find hope, beauty, love, healing. And I think that's I haven't really interviewed people in depth about it, but I think it has provided a lot of people with some kind of healing,
Mm-hmm.
being in the orchestra, which is surprising because I really haven't had that experience with a classical orchestra world. And I think the difference is because people are so passionate about video game music. It's like they're on a drug. They're like high. Like right before a concert, everyone gets super excited.
It's all
And
natural.
yeah,
The
I
feeling.
don't see the, yeah, I don't see the same um excitement with the classical orchestras that I've been part of. There's something different behind it. People are much more excited um about the music, and I think it's part of it's because it's a rare opportunity for them to play the music that they love, the stories they love. I think a lot of it is the storytelling
Mm-hmm.
that people are so connected to. So um, that's where I think it's really meaningful. And since I graduated, I've been kind of helping people start their own video game orchestra. So that's where I am. But I'm in a place where I want to help more people start their own video game orchestra. So if you guys in Minnesota need one, I'm love to help.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. Most
I'm
definitely. Spread the word around
yeah,
about you.
yeah, and they can watch this video. um, and also like hopefully this year at MagFest, which is for those of you who don't know, it's a music and gaming festival. We've been doing some orchestra stuff in the past couple years, and I'm hoping that we're gonna do some cool stuff this year too to get people who are coming to MagFest involved in
Mm-hmm.
orchestra stuff because it's such a rare opportunity if you don't have a video game orchestra near you
Yeah.
to actually play in one. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. So I want to help people, and I want to do it in a way that's very deep and meaningful, and that's kind of where I guess I want to go with my next step is to go like I want to go in depth about I guess um like I'm very interested in the intersection of art and psychology, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to go more into depth about that.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so that's something that I feel is very important to talk about. I don't think I've really talked about this like in this way publicly before, but it
Mm-hmm.
has such a deep and profound impact on a lot of people's lives, and there needs to be more of it. People, I forget which video this was, but some recent video game orchestra video I watched, somebody in the YouTube comment said, please, please bring this to my country. We need more of this. Like, people are so desperate for
Mm-hmm.
meaning in their lives and to connect with this that they like, they're literally starving for this, you know? And it's so important. That's why I want to help more people start a video game orchestra where they live so that they have the opportunity um, to make this a reality. And then it'll be fun because I'm connected with like pretty much all the video game orchestra founders, and it's super fun when we all get together and just chat about like, hey, how's your orchestra? How's your orchestra? How's your orchestra?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
That,
So
that's so amazing. Wow.
yeah.
And guys, can we spread some POP hearts over to Meowsical? That, thank you so much for sharing. That really touched me a lot. Really, that's you are really helping everybody, just not just in the States here, but around the world. And I'm glad that you started something like that, because even though I'm not in music or anything, that's something I want to be part of, just to be part of that community and listen to you guys' music, you know? And
Mhm.
that's so awesome. I'm so like now I'm just a lot of feels right now, Meowsical. After you told me
Yeah.
just like hold that. That's that's beautiful. And we need more of that. You are correct. We don't get enough of that in this world. And this is what like the biggest thing I love to see is just all you guys showing your passion with what you do, especially with music and putting into video games, because video games tell stories. They have music
Mhm.
behind it, and that's something that we get lost to. It's our like it's a natural high that we get like when we all play video games, especially like ones that are really good, like for Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts. That's something that we want to be part of that world. Like I would love to live in the Kingdom Hearts world and just like fighting all those like bad guys, taking them out and whatnot, but just always being that hero at the end, but with strong music like behind you. Just imagine just like if you're in a video game, just listening to that everywhere around you when you're just walking around. Man,
Mhm.
but
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important because we actually do live an archetypal life. Whether I don't know if you have come across this, but the way we act out in the world, we're actually in a way archetypes. Like for me as an INFP, that's an
mm-hmm,
archetype.
mm-hmm,
And um, the mythological world, it's that we see in video games and stuff. That world is real on the inside.
mm-hmm,
It's how we experience the internal world. And people don't this is more from the Jungian psychology side of things, but we don't realize it, but we actually act out um, archetypes in our daily lives.
yeah,
And human beings need the connection to that mythological creative world. Otherwise they get very unbalanced.
mm-hmm, yeah. Wow, that's very interesting. But
Hmm.
it's so real at the same time, because
Hmm.
sometimes my life, how I live my life is through video games, because the reason why I like art is because video games, like, look at this, everything's here that represents who I am. And when people see that, they're just like,
Hmm.
I can tell you really like love video games. I'm like, it's my life.
Hmm.
I'm like, it's helped me a lot through everything, just anything that's from everything that's made. And it's so cool to just be part of that, especially like learning about what you're telling me and stuff. That's something that I'll always be thinking about because it's so real, and I think we need more a lot of that. That's just my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Meowsical, I also got something for you. It kind of relates to this, so it's like segueing.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, what are you like most passionate about in life?
Um, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I I think what I wanted, I don't know if this really answers your question, but I think what I want to do with my life probably is to make something very, very beautiful and deep and meaningful. And I feel like the right path for me is to combine art and psychology together.
Oh.
And um, how do I don't even know how to say this, but if you if you watch Scam France, you'll understand.
Oh, yes, please tell us about that. I know you talk about it a lot on your when you're on Twitch.
I'm so nerdy about Scam France. Those of you who are listening who don't know, Scam France is a French TV show. You can watch it on YouTube. It's spelled SKAM France, and um, Scam is actually originally a Norwegian show.
Mm-hmm.
In in Norwegian, skam means shame. So the TV show is actually about uh, teenagers and like things that might be considered shameful or they have to deal with shame in their
Mm-hmm.
daily life. So um, it's a really good show. It's very beautiful. Scam France in particular is very beautiful. Perfect cinematography, acting.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you an example, what we were talking about earlier, before the show, d-Rad. I was talking earlier to you about how um, classical orchestras, they don't. I feel like they could do a better job of kind of engaging with the audience
Mm-hmm.
because you're
Yes.
if you know if you know anything about the classical musical world, it's it kind of there's a um, lowering of the audience members. You see just a sea of white hair, older people in classical symphony halls. And they're trying really hard to attract young people, to the halls, not only for, financial reasons, but also for, cultural reasons. They want to keep the orchestra alive.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I think they're not really looking at is they're missing that aspect of storytelling. Like, why should someone who can just go watch the next Marvel movie come to an orchestra concert? What relevance does it have with their lives?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mentioned how, you could take the story of Beethoven, how, he was like pretty much deaf when he composed, like, I think his last symphony. And
Yeah.
he was actually like conducting, and then he didn't really know when the song was finished, and they had to actually turn him around and look at the audience cheering and clapping. And I haven't done a deep dive into this, but I know that Beethoven really suffered a lot, not just because he went deaf, but the way, his family is very dysfunctional. And
Yeah.
um, for a composer to go deaf, I think that's very, very hard on that person's inner spirit. And
Yes.
then and yet he overcame that to become one of the most prolific classical composers of our time. And then I said, like, if you watch season 5 of Scam France, season 5 Scam France, or Scam in general, for those of you who don't know, it basically focuses on a different character, different main character every season. So season 1 is about girls who feel like they don't really fit in their high school. How do they become the cool girl? So there's this
Mm-hmm.
sense of like exclusion from like cliques and stuff, like, oh, we're the uncool ones. How do you fit in? Um, season 2, I actually haven't finished watching it, but it's about this girl and this guy that likes her. Season 3 is about um, Lucas and how he realizes he likes this guy that just transferred to the school, and how is he going to deal with realizing that he's gay. And
Yeah.
season 4 deals with Iman. She's a Muslim from an African family, and there's this guy she really likes, but then she finds out he's not Muslim, so she feels conflicted because she really likes him, but feels that she can't be with someone of a different faith.
Mm-hmm.
And then in season 5, it's Arthur, and he experiences sudden deafness, and then he feels trapped between the hearing world of his friends and this new world, where he has to learn like sign language, and he has to wear these hearing aids. Um, I haven't watched. Season 6 is about drug addiction, and I haven't watched season 7 yet, but I think that's about teen pregnancy. So what it does is it zooms in really close up to the person's life of what it's actually like to be in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And they do it in a very authentic way. It doesn't feel like it's like flat characters or anything. You really feel like the characters are real and authentic, but they do it in such a way that it's so poetically beautiful that it's overwhelming. And
Yeah.
with season 5, when Arthur goes deaf, like, how do you deal with that if that were you? Because he can no longer do the things that he used to do with his friends, like go to concerts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a moral dilemma. Like I feel like every single one of those seasons, there's like the character has to deal with a moral dilemma. Like, what should I do now that I know this thing
Mm-hmm.
that might be a cause of shame? And the way they handled it, it's so beautiful. It's so profound and deep. And I think I just saw like SKAM France season 3 as of today has 100 million views on YouTube. Sorry, I had to plug that because I got so excited. Um, that shows how popular it is, like how popular SKAM France is, and so it's like, why don't we combine these things together? Maybe the story of Beethoven and and the story of Arthur, and show like the way they write SKAM France is like, even if you don't deal with that specific issue, they write it in such a way that it's universal.
Yeah.
And anybody can actually relate to it. It's like very human. So SPG is still like Final Fantasy series, but a TV show. Yeah, that's a good analogy. SPG, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, what was I saying? But basically, I just wanted to say that people, there has been so much outpouring of support for SKAM in general, just because I think for a long time people have been craving really deep and meaningful stories, and that's what we need right now.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
you just talking about it. I'm already invested and just really in depth because, that's really going into the people's shoes and you're feeling it
Yeah.
while you're watching the show. I really like stuff like about that because it's real. It's like what's going on in this world. Many of us are fortunate not to, have those kind of things, you know. But when you see other person that has to deal with that every day in their lives until
Yeah.
they are gone in this world, that's so real. But the thing is, like, they're struggling, but they're so strong about it. Even though they're like going through a lot. I could tell you're gonna see that, then you'll see the happiness, then you'll see that. But they have to always deal with that every day. But whew.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing I want to do. Is I want to zoom up close up and tell stories that are I would say meaningful and deep and
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Um, um, I feel like in every story with SKAM France, the main character has to deal with some serious moral dilemma, but then
Mm-hmm.
it's written in such a way that the character develops, and there's like a redemption at the end. That's the kind of feeling I get. That's what makes it so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they find a way to um they push past that difficulty, and then something very beautiful comes out at the end of it. It's just written so beautifully. Um so if you guys don't really have time to watch, I would just actually watch the first 3 episodes of season 3 SKAM France.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would start with, probably.
Awesome. And is that in French?
It's in French, but you can
Yeah.
turn on the CC
CC.
for
Okay.
English subtitles. Yeah.
Awesome. This is totally off topic because I usually do this to everybody that comes on for lunch with a friend of Meowsical.
Uh-huh.
This is called the rando question of the
Oh my
day.
god.
So,
I'm
we
scared.
we grew up in the same era, and is it Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
Oh my god. um, I don't. I don't know. I feel like I wasn't as into it as other people were,
Mm-hmm.
but my friends that I hung around were really into NSYNC.
Yeah. NSYNC. Okay.
But Backstreet Boys are good too.
Yeah. Tell me why, if you can.
Tell me why.
So, Meowsical, I know we were talking about this yesterday since SPG's here. Tell
Oh my
me
god.
about the story, how you got to know SPG. I really liked it yesterday, so I think we need to tell it.
Oh my god, I'm gonna crack up.
Yeah, he's here. He's here. So I wanna.
Okay, let's tell the story. Okay, so was the story about how we like I was it I forget who asked who first, but I was like, how did you discover SPG? And then
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
how did I become friends with SPG, right?
Yep, I asked you that yesterday. Yep.
So okay, so let me go first, I guess. How did I discover SPG? Because like you were talking about how you well, I'll let you should tell your part too about wait, that's SPG. uh you want me to go first?
I'll go real quick. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
I discovered SPG through YouTube 2016. Then I was like, oh, and I saved like a whole bunch of video game remixes on my playlist of him and stuff. Then going real quick, streaming on Twitch. Alud's like, hey, you should raid SPG. I'm like, oh, cool. Raid over to him. I'm like, gosh, he looks familiar. I can't. I'm just like, gosh, it sounds familiar. He looks familiar. I had to go on my playlist. And I'm like, holy crap, that's him. Then I was just like, oh my gosh, kind of fangirling right now. He raided over to me. He's my friend. So that's my story. Now let's yours.
Yeah, I mean, similar story. I found about SPG through YouTube, and I was following him for. I don't know when I started following him, but I would always love like putting on repeat the Ultimate Zelda medley, and
Mm-hmm.
I followed him and big fan, and then he did a lot of mini Mario Orchestra stuff, and I had a video game orchestra, so I thought, oh, like maybe I should ask him if he would be willing to give me permission to play his arrangement with my real orchestra of his mini Mario Orchestra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually thought about emailing him, like, hey, may I have your permission? But I ended up never doing it. This is my guess was like maybe it was 2014, 2015, something like that. I don't really remember. Then one day, and then fast forward to 2018, I'm going to MagFest, and I'm going to be on a panel with our mutual friend Eman, and I was just like browsing Eman's Facebook page one day, and all of a sudden there's a picture of him and somebody, and that person that's with him in the picture looks really familiar, and I'm like, wait a minute, this guy looks really familiar. And then I see what the name is there, and I'm like, oh my god, that's String Player Gamer. And I was like, how in the world did my friend get into a picture with String Player Gamer out of all the 7 billion people on this planet? I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, what in the world happened? And I thought SPG was still in the Philippines at this time, and my friend was in LA, and I didn't know, but at that time SPG already moved to the United States, and apparently the two of them met up at this game dev meetup, took a picture together. So I secretly messaged our friend, and I'm like, hey, is SPG coming to MagFest this year? He's like, yeah. And I like totally fangirled. And 6.9 billion.
Nice.
And then I was like, hey, he's coming. Is he? And he's like, yeah, he's coming. I'm like, oh, and I was like freaked out, and then I fangirled and stuff, and then he's like, okay, he's like, yeah, I asked him he's going, and don't worry, I didn't tell him that you fangirled over him, like. And then later I see like some Facebook posts, and then SPG said on his page like, "Oh hey man, like looking forward to seeing your panel." But it was funny because it was actually my panel too, because we were on the panel together,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the organizer of the panel, and Eman was one of the panelists on my panel. So then I was like, "Oh my god, SPG is coming to watch my panel. This is crazy." And I remember it was like Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Um, It was a panel of 10 people, which I don't think I'll ever do again because we had no time to talk for each person. But then, like, near the end, I see this guy coming from the back. He has his Legend of Zelda hat on. He has his electric violin, his, like, little Roland amp with him. And I see him come in, and I'm like, oh my god, it's SPG in the flesh. Oh my god, this is so surreal. It was just like that feeling I had when I met the celebrities from SKAM France. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
is this real? Oh my god, you know? And then he walks like, more closer to the front and sits down, and I felt like the whole time I was like fangirling, but I couldn't because I was on a panel in front of all these people in the audience. So I had to keep it all internal, like, oh my god, oh my god. And then SPG says vintage thick SPG of 2016.
Oh my
Yes.
god.
And then after the panel, I asked our mutual friend to introduce me. I was such a nerd. I was so nervous. And then I went up to like he, introduced me like, "Hey, and I said, "Oh, hey, introduced myself, and I said, "Hey, I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel." And I shook his hand, and I was like, fangirling so hard. And I was like, this is surreal. And that's how I met SPG. And then the funny thing is, like, at that time, to me, SPG was still like a big celebrity, and I was like meeting the big famous people of video game music. And I was so shocked that that our mutual friend and SPG let me hang out with them the entire day. It's like if you went to a convention and the celebrity that you're a fan of let you hang out with them the entire day. I was like, oh my god, this is a dream come true. When I started
Right?
talking to SPG about video game music, and SPG says dork. Did SPG's aura heal you or cause psychic damage? Um, I think it. I think my reaction was just I was in disbelief. Like he was actually here in the flesh, like in person, and there is that disbelief when you first meet like a celebrity like that, and I didn't know what to make of it. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. They're letting me hang out with them. I'm like in the in crowd now, or
Yeah.
something like that. And I didn't know what to make of it. I just was like, why are they letting me hang out with them the whole day if he's so famous? And I
Famous.
just yeah. I didn't understand it. So that's kind of how um I met, and then like I kind of got to know SPG. And I talked to him about video game, my video game orchestra and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I was such a nerd, such a fangirl the entire time, and but like near the end of the evening, I actually showed him an arrangement, like an orchestra arrangement I was working on, and we talked about some symphonic music, and like we kind of connected over that because I was kind of scared to show him like the arrangement that I created because he's a composer and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I showed it to him and he liked it, and I was like, "What?"
Ooh.
I was like, "Oh my god!" But we like, yeah, yeah. The first SPG tells me this after. He's like, when I first walked into that room, he's like, I saw you at the front, and it's like, who's that? Who's that Korean pop star looking girl? Like I haven't seen her around, and she's on this panel with all these people talking about orchestral video game music. So it's like kind of like a mystery. I guess he wanted to kind of like see who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and SPG says now you played a show in my studio just weeks ago, and that's how I found out Meow was famous in it's on Wikipedia. So And then I also fangirled over his this is kind of also nerdy thing to say, but I also kind of fangirled over the fact that his family's also so famous.
Oh yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
SVG said that. I looked it up, and I was like, "Whoa, that's so cool." I don't think I,
Yeah.
I think I asked my grandma, my Lola, to see
Mhm.
if like as like, is it your grandfather, your grandpa SVG? That's the famous one. And I think my grandma said she knew, but I don't know. But
See, famous.
yeah, but that's crazy though. I love that. I love that a lot. Oh, your grandpa. Okay, Lolo. Nice.
Lolo.
Oh man.
Yes. So we got connected because of video game music, and I've been following him for a while, and I think he became a fan of the gamer Symphony as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. Very
See,
funny.
we're all interconnected in some way, which is amazing. You thought he was in the Philippines, but now you guys live in the same states. You guys are best friends, hanging out, doing music together. Small world, right? It
Mhm.
just comes across like that, and it's from your friend too. You're just like, what? You know him? So that's
Yeah.
that's that's super cool. I I've yet to meet the famous SVG. If I do, I'm just gonna be a
You're
little
gonna
bit
love him.
nervous. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
nervous first because I think I'm gonna be mean you. Fortunately, I'm not gonna be going to Mag Fest. Is that what's it called?
Hmm.
Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go. But if you go to TwitchCon, I'm going to be there. But oh man, I'm just like, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be nervous. My hands are gonna be shaking. Nice to meet you, Mr. SPG. But
Yeah.
till that day, even me and you, Meowsical, if we ever
Yeah.
get to meet, I'm just gonna be like, "Ah, thank you so much for your music. Thank you for everything. That's the same way. So it's like pretty cool to be friendos with you after, of course, like learning about like what you're doing with the orchestra, like how you started everything, and just you being on here. This is super cool for me. So it really means a lot. And
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
hmm
And SPG says that mutual friend now works at Riot Games. Yeah, that friend is now famous too.
oh snap! Everybody's famous here. Hold on, I'm gonna
Yeah.
use the famous. There.
Famous.
Love that.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is what I love about the community. Meowsical is just everybody is so talented in their own way. We're all connecting here. Like you mentioned, like during the '90s, everybody kind of had like the chill and good vibes, kind of like a community base where everybody just didn't have much problems. And I remember that too growing up. Just as a kid, there was nothing really going on. Like everybody's like fighting and stuff. But now
Yeah.
being here in this platform has really helped, and I'm just so glad to have met you, SVG, Golovar, Mount Dexter, even new friendos like here, like being awake. Thank you so much, Sandy Miss, for the raid earlier, but Sandy Miss too. There's just so many awesome people here, and you're one of them. I just want to say you've always love coming into your streams. They always make me happy. Um, Whenever you're doing like violin music or just having real talks and stuff, because that's what it's all about, and it's super natural what you're doing, uh, because that's what you said you want to mix into the art and psychology, right?
Mhm.
You mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
and I feel that the passion that you have for just having like with people and just having these depths that we should definitely think about, and it's super cool, and I appreciate that a lot from you.
Oh, thank you, and also you as well, d-Rad. You
No, stop it.
I want to say no, you. No, you.
No, I got this. I got this for you. Not as cool as Manny's one. Nah,
No,
you.
you. No, you.
Sorry I cut you off, but yeah.
No worries.
Plug at what you're doing. Tell us everybody what you're working on or you have things going. Let everybody know.
You can just call me first name basis or call me String.
All right, String.
What am I working on? Okay, so right now I'm kind of taking a Twitch break. I was streaming every Friday, but I think I want to focus more on doing YouTube videos right now. So, I would like to. I'm probably gonna do some stuff with SKAM France, like some video essays and stuff. That's kind of in the back of my mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
Going into depth about the symbolism and the deep meaning, stuff like that. I also want to do more of YouTube videos for Meowsical.
Ooh, okay.
So violin covers of whatever songs for YouTube. I want to focus more on building up my evergreen content. So that's kind of my plan. And I also I haven't told anyone except one person and you, but I just released an album called from Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time on Spotify, but it's not under Meowsical. It's under this new project that I started. I actually wasn't going to announce this until I've like released 5 albums, but since you're asking about like what I'm working on, the secret project it's called Harp Zone. It's a kind of play on words from Super Mario 3's Warp Zone. And it's basically all video game music, but on the harp. So for those of you who really like beautiful, relaxing, gorgeous harp music, and you want to hear a video game version of it, check out Harp Zone on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, all the big music platforms, all digital platforms. And right now I'm working on my second album. It's going to be for Deltarune Chapter 2, which came out recently. So my focus is on finishing that album right now for Harp Zone. So I hope you guys enjoy my new project. And I like to be like really creative across different, I guess, mediums or something. So one other thing I want to get more into is storytelling and filmmaking, and kind of doing some more stuff with my camera. So that's kind of related to the SKAM France video essays I want to do. That goes into depth about like the intersection between art and psychology. Because I do want to tell more stories, like the story that I told you with the gamer Symphony Orchestra, how it changed people's lives and how we really need that right now. I want to do more video essays or videos on that kind of stuff. So one thing I'm doing right now is I'm going to be kind of learning some more like maybe film or video editing software and effects and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know if anybody would be interested in watching those kind of things. It's not directly related to video game music, but it's around the theme of art and psychology, which I really, really want to get into and I'm really interested in. And I think a lot of storytelling it combines the art and psychology aspects. So I guess I just want to go in a direction that's more meaningful for me and more deep. And I might do some streams in the future around this kind of topic, but I just don't know what the interest is on that. You know, like it was fun doing a lot of the violin streams, but I wanted to do something more, like something more deep and profound. And so if anyone has any suggestions or anything you'd like to see more of based on what I've said, please do let me know. It's really helpful for me to get feedback because I don't necessarily get feedback So if I don't know, then I don't really know like what people think. So it's helpful for me to have some feedback about if like what not just that if you're interested in something, but why you're interested in what more do you want to see, you know?
Awesome.
So yeah.
That's great, Meowsical. Those are lots of awesome projects that you're working on, and we'll always do our best to support you. So, you know, enjoy your Twitch break. Take as much time as you need. You know, when you come back, we're definitely gonna be out there to support you, friendo.
All right, that sounds awesome, d-Rad.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, wow, such an amazing episode 4 of Lunch with a Friendo with Meowsical. Again, Meowsical, I cannot say it enough. I like to say the word thank you because it's my favorite word in the whole world. So thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate it so much. You are famous. So let's give one more famous to Meowsical, everybody. One more time.
Guys, let's say it. Famous.
Famous.
Thank you so much, d-Rad. I really appreciate it, and it's a pleasure chatting with you today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Awesome. I'm gonna do my ending thing, so thank you, peeps, for watching. Lunch with a Friendo, episode 4 with Meowsical. I really appreciate all you peeps for watching. If you ain't follow me on the socials, everything's at d-Rad. PunX right above there. Of course, you're watching me on Twitch, YouTube, SoundCloud, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Bye.
Famous.
Famous. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate
guys.
all of you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.